Hello, welcome back to the channel for another video. In this video, I'm going to be reading Poppy's interview with Clash. That's all there really is to this video. It starts off with, Poppy is a very 21st century figure. Finding an audience through YouTube, she's been able to take this and use the platform as a means to uncover original components of her soul. Blending bubblegum pop with metal, the sonic palette for the new album I Disagree is an outrageous fusion of something, sounds, and art forms, yet somehow it all makes a dramatic sort of sense. Out now, the record will be followed by a full tour including some European dates with Poppy set to play London's iconic Heaven venue. I myself haven't heard of Heaven, unless it means like the O2 or something. But is there something in the UK that's like known as the Heaven venue? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below. I'm not too knowledgeable on venues. Clash spoke to the American aesthete. Is that how it's said? Ahead of all this, to talk musical independence and celerity creativity. The album is a real statement. How do you feel in the days leading up to the release? So the interview was before the album came out. This was released recently, a few days ago as I'm recording this, maybe 3 or 4 potentially. There'll be a link to it in the description, by the way. Poppy says, well, the album has been done for quite a while now, so it's more being excited about it finally coming out. I've been wanting to perform the songs for some time and I've had to wait for the time to be right. Now we're leaving for tour next week and I get to do all that. It's a very exciting time. There's a real energy to the material on this album. Were those songs built to be played live? Poppy said. Yeah, I'd say that the music in the past, I didn't really take into consideration playing live until we came to do it. But with this one we did, for sure, and it all comes across in a different way. When was the album actually finished then? Poppy says, in September of last year, we worked on it for a course of about 9 months. It was a really intense affair. We made it in secret because we wanted to have it done before playing it with anyone. So that was exciting as well, and a different approach to what I'm used to. Nobody could interject with their feelings or opinions until it was completely done. I mean, people could share their opinion, but I wouldn't listen to it at all. I'm guessing it was a tense affair because of what was happening, the breakdown of the Sinclair thing. Although, if it was finished in September of last year, I don't think that had happened. So maybe there was some infighting before that. Do you have to be single-minded to create art? Poppy says, I think for me, I'm pretty single-minded with my art. I feel confident in it. I love it. And I don't take outside opinions into consideration. But I think once there are a lot of hands on something, like with other projects I've worked on in the past, it tends to get really convoluted and it ends up very far from what it originally started as. It can start as something that's very exciting, but then over time it fizzles out and it becomes so far from what you thought it would be and it loses its impact, and I feel like I wanted to protect this album. I don't know if that's in reference to anything. If I had to guess, I would say that it may be the whole Grimes thing. The Grimes thing is interesting. I might make a video on it, but it's interesting to look back at what Grimes had to say and compare it to what we know now, or what we know of. We don't know the full story, but Poppy's statement and maybe some things that Alex has said, just like trinkle them in there and then just compare it with Grimes' statement. And it was a kind of surprise, if I remember correctly, what Grimes had to say, but now it just doesn't seem too far-fetched. It's certainly a heavy record, but it's also very pop. Well, I like all kinds of music, and I love pop music, and I'm not afraid to say that or to write pop songs. I like hooks, I like catchy melodies and sounds and lyrics, and I think it's really wonderful. I think that'll always be a part of my music because that's what I enjoy. Which is interesting considering she said in the Reddit AMA that there wasn't going to be anything like Bubble Bath because she moves forward or whatever, or she's done with the sound or whatever. This sounds like there could be a pop record in the future, which not counterintuitive, it's something. I'm having a mind blank. I Disagree made a huge impact. What was your process for writing that song? Geez, I think the boldness for the writing needs some grammatical work, actually. Although I just have a mind blank, so I shouldn't be talking about grammar. A lot of my songs take a long time, but that one was pretty straightforward. The whole album looks at a time that was really a crossroads, and I had to make a lot of really important decisions really fast. I feel like I made the best one. I Disagree. I love seeing that song at my shows, and it seems like the fans really enjoy it because I feel everyone at some point in their lives feels misunderstood or restricted or disrespected or just not listened to, and I think that song speaks to those people. We're not going to go into what those crossroads were because I think we all know if we just go on public statements. Do your songs shift in the studio, or do you enter the studio with a strong inclination of what you wanted to achieve? We just wanted to make an album with no rules, and I think we accomplished that. Sometimes people go into it with an overall concept, and some people just let it evolve into whatever it is. And I think as we were working, we just wanted to make something that we were all proud of, me and the producers. At the end of the day, something that in the regular format of pop music people aren't allowed to do. There's a lack of credit for Sinclair here. I mean, he did a fair bit of work. I'm just going to say that. I can say in confidence that no other record label would allow that album to come out, and I'm grateful that it did. Blood Money is a real fan favourite. What prompted it? That song is one of my favourites on the album. It's heavier, industrial, angry synth sounds, mostly on analog synthesizers, and it's a song about hypocritical people stopping my personal growth. Whether that be record producers or Sinclair, as she's kind of stated. I think she stated in the Travis Mills interview. Not by name, but just alluded to it at least. Where does that blend of sounds come from? How did you define that aesthetic? I don't really think too much about it. I just really go with how I feel, and I think that music should be based off of that. It should be based on where your heart is or what your gut tells you to go. I think that's why people are gravitating towards this album. It's resonating with people thus far because they know that it's me. I'm not sure that I'm not sure it's doing well because it's poppy. I think it's doing well because it sounds good. The vocals are good, but I'm not sure whether the appeal of it being poppy is really that great. Is there a barrier between you and your art, or is what on the album 100% you? I think there's always a barrier between anyone that's an artist and the listener. You're never going to be 100% upfront with everyone about everything, otherwise, I believe that that's boring. It makes for a boring artist if you're 100% this is who I am all the time. We didn't get to see David Bowie when he was at his house with no makeup on, at least not until the very end of his life. A lot of magic in pop culture has gone because it's this current fight to be the most relatable, and I don't gravitate towards any of those people. And that's why I feel like a loner most of the time because I'm bored by everyone. Is she saying that she doesn't gravitate towards feeling relatable? Who knows? Who really knows? Who do you relate to as an artist then? In current pop culture, nobody. I gravitate towards real artists that have backbone and fight for their art. Bjork, Marilyn Manson, and Bowie, and Debbie Harry, and Trent Reznor, and people that will tell other people no and will not trip up when somebody asks them about their art, or will not trip up when somebody waves money in their face. They live and die by their art, and I think that's something that's lost in current music. That's why it's so boring. And then we get 1,000 of the same thing. And that's why you get pop stars that suddenly re-emerge trying to make country music, and it makes no sense, and it's really funny. It's like, okay, we're doing this now? You get pop stars that suddenly re-emerge doing country music. I mean, you used to do country music and you just re-emerged and did pop. What are you talking about? Anyway, won't hold on to that for too long. Just a thought. You're right about the label's support of your art. Have you been in positions in the past where you've had to fight for that freedom? I mean, in the past, of course, I started this journey in music maybe 10 years ago. Channel was created 9 years ago this year. So it is about 10 years ago, if you're going by YouTube, at least. And there's been a lot of sacrifices and lessons I've had to learn, and I don't regret any of them. I made an entire pop record when I was at Mad Decent, and they turned around and said that they didn't want to pay for it because they didn't have enough money, which is a lie because Diplo makes a lot of money. They just don't want to pay for things. So when you learn lessons like that, you really have to go with your gut, otherwise you'll want to kill yourself. So when you realize your gut is the not honest thing, your brain is the thing that you have to protect, and your sanity, you start to look at the world differently. I'd say it was most and not mot, but yeah. Your art and life seem extremely intertwined. What is the emotional experience of actually releasing a project like this? It feels like a release, and it feels very exciting, and I know that there are other people out there that are feeling the same way I feel but are not in a position to talk about it. I don't take that lightly. Reconnecting with fans after this process must be such an intense thing to undertake. Absolutely, that's what I'm looking forward to the most. That's another thing that fuels me. On the other side of this whole process is being able to put out the music and then tour and see the fans and the followers and the friends and the kids that come to the shows. That's the other wonderful thing about what I do. Why do you feel the music industry fails to serve these voices? I think everybody is afraid of losing their job. When you're in a position, this very cushy, cozy position at a record label, a lot of people are nervous and everyone will pat each other on the back when things go right, and they'll hate each other and lose their jobs when things go wrong. That's why you'll get a lot of people that are afraid to take risks, and that's why there's so much boring and mediocre music out. That's why the power is still in the independent artists' hands, because they're the ones with the strongest voices, because they can drop music whenever and say whatever they want. So that's the end of the interview. Just a couple of thoughts. Interesting. There isn't much to be learned. I thought the thing about Mad Decent was interesting, and that's the main reason why I made this video, because she has kind of alluded to Mad Decent previously, but it does sound like it wasn't such a good experience for her, unfortunately. I guess the two things are that I think we're starting to see a little bit of interviews not lining up with others, for example, but maybe I'm just thinking too much. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. The other thing, I briefly mentioned it, and you may hate me for it, but I just don't like the lack of credit for Sinclair. And I mean, Chris Grietti as well. I mean, give him some credit for his guitar work and stuff. She's just acting like it's her when it wasn't. Imagine the album without Chris Grietti on guitar and without Titanic Sinclair. What album would you have without those two? That is what I'm leaving you with. What would I disagree be without Titanic Sinclair and Chris Grietti? Because Poppy didn't do it on her own. Despite what she's trying to portray, I'm sure that she is more than capable of doing things on her own, but this album was not solo. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy it, leave a like. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you never want to miss an upload. And I shall see you soon for more content. Peace.